So Supreme Court Justice Breyer is retiring from the Supreme Court, and this is poised to help the Democrats in time for the midterms, which, let's be honest, they need all the help they can get. Between Omicron surging, inflation at 30-year highs, unemployment being a mess, Biden failing in his authoritarian attempt to jab Americans, his infrastructure bill failing, his ridiculous voting rights comments and speeches, and his failure to deliver on that, his beating of the war drums with Russia, the Dems are looking a lot like hammered dog shit nowadays, and they really need the help. Well, Supreme Court nominations are well known to serve as pep rallies for political parties, and this will help the Dems out. Fortunately, Breyer is a lefty, so it'll be one lefty gone, another lefty comes in. Because the court can't handle any more craziness, especially after the lefty judges who were there were so fucking abysmal in the vaccine mandate case. But of course, what's interesting about this is the idiotic, backwards, honestly should be offensive and degrading pledge made by Biden to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court, and the fact that so many people are giddy about a diversity hire, an obvious diversity hire on the top court of the land, tells me pretty much everything I need to know about modern America. So let's check out this article from USA Today. Let me cut to the chase. Republicans, political and media pundits, and party leaders need to stop with the utterly offensive talk that President Joe Biden is somehow choosing a black woman to take the seat of a retiring Justice Stephen Breyer to fill the woke base, or progressive base, or liberal base, or any kind of base. He is not. To say so is demeaning to such a crop of distinguished jurists who also happen to be black and female. No, the issue isn't that Biden could choose a black woman to be a justice. Of course, he can do that. The issue is he's already come out to, even before looking into the candidates for the nomination, and saying, no matter what, it'll be someone who's black and female. Trying to poison this idiotic decision that's clearly a play to his base as being racist is just par for the course with the left-wing establishment. The issue is that he's going to deny anyone else for the job who doesn't fit the description of black and female. He's going into the search with that in mind. So yeah, he's quite literally replacing Justice Breyer with a black woman to fill the woke base, progressive base, and liberal base. If he wasn't, he would just say, hey, I'm going to pick the best person for the job. And if he ends up choosing a black woman, that's an entirely different situation than saying he's going into it and it's going to be a black woman regardless of anything else. It's so laughable that this article says it's demeaning to the potential picks to think they're just being chosen as part of a quota or to be played to the woke base, when that's obviously exactly what the move is here. A nice attempt to cover for Biden, by the way, who did the same thing with his VP pick. And now we're all stuck with the universally unlikable Kamala Harris. Unlikable? No, not because she's black, and no, not because she's a woman, but because she's a terrible human being, and even in the Democrat primaries, the voters thought she was terrible. Her approval ratings, even now, are fucking abysmal. But CNN reports GOP senator says black woman Supreme Court pick would be the beneficiary of affirmative action. Well, be fair, CNN. He's only saying that because apparently his brain works and he's been paying attention. Hiring someone on their basis of race, gender, and or sexual orientation is the very basis of affirmative action, which interestingly enough is another case the Supreme Court is hearing. The article says the first black woman nominated to the U.S. Supreme Court by President Joe Biden will be the beneficiary of affirmative action, Republican Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi said. The irony is that the Supreme Court is at the very same time hearing cases about this sort of affirmative racial discrimination while adding someone who is a beneficiary of this sort of quota, he said Friday in an interview, referring to the High Court's recent decision to reconsider challenges to race-based affirmative action and college admissions. The majority of the court may be saying writ large it's unconstitutional, and we'll see how that irony works out. Oh, this is great CNN journalism right here. The comments come despite not yet knowing who Biden will nominate. CNN has reached out to Wicker for comment. Well, we know what he's going to nominate, and it's going to be entirely based on their gender and their race. That's the problem. That's the issue right there. If you did this with any other group, if you did this with white men, if you did this with Latino men, or should I say Latinx men, if you did this with any other group, it would be a problem. But you can come out and say this, and I understand that it is historic, and I understand there are historical differences between how certain races were treated in the past and things like that. I get that. But if you're going to come out and say, no, this pick is going to be someone of this shade and with this certain genitalia, probably the least important things you could possibly have as attributes for a Supreme Court justice. Yes, it's a diversity hire. Of all the qualifications for the job that thousands of people have, he's making race the deciding factor. Instead of just saying, I'll pick the best candidate, and it turns out to be a black woman, it's clearly a play to the woke base. To deny that means you're either pig shit ignorant of reality, or you're lying. The article goes on. Biden on Thursday reiterated his promise to select a black woman on the Supreme Court and said that diverse background of his pick won't be the only factor. He vowed to nominate a justice with extraordinary qualifications, character, experience, and integrity. He said he would name his choice in February. Here's CNN adding in their bit. Some GOP senators are already concluding that the nominee, who Biden said will be named in February, is sure to be far left, and have insinuated that the nominee may not be the most qualified candidate. Gee, where could they get that idea? Do you think it was maybe the president saying that the main factor he's looking at is the color of their skin and if they have a vagina? A number of Republicans also say the nominee's history-making credentials, being a black woman, won't be enough to sway them. Yeah, that actually sounds like a very reasonable response. Just the fact that you're going to make history by getting this spot doesn't mean you're good for the job. I can't believe that's a radical thought. I can't believe I'm siding with these evil fucking Republicans. We're going from a nice, stately left-wing liberal to someone who's probably more in the style of Sonia Sotomayor, Wicker said, referring to Breyer. I hope it's not someone like Sotomayor, which I guarantee you the articles are going to say, well, this guy just hates women being on there. But he goes on to make a very, very coherent point. Sotomayor, who went for a hearing about the virus and started spouting off facts, which just 2 minutes later, fact checkers all over the world were giving her 4 Pinocchios. I hope it's at least someone who will at least not misrepresent the facts. I think they will misrepresent the law. Yes, Sonia Sotomayor's statements about the vaccine mandates and the effect of COVID on young children was, again, I've done a video on this. It's not just wrong, it's so abhorrently wrong, there needs to be another word for the level of wrong that she was. And she's making a decision that's going to impact the entire nation. Those are things that do matter. Honestly, I don't give a shit that it's a woman. I don't give a shit that it's a black woman. I hate the Supreme Court anyways. The government should be abolished. It's all a bunch of bullshit. But if you're going to have somebody on there, and you're going to make the qualification the least interesting thing about a person, then yeah, that bothers me. It's also been mentioned in several of these articles that Ronald Reagan did the same thing. He appointed Sandra Day O'Connor, I believe was the lady's name, and that was the first woman to ever be nominated. And Reagan said that he wanted to nominate a woman. Well, guess what? Fuck Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was wrong. This is not the way to do things. The way to do things is based on merit. And I know merit in the modern age gets the bad rep, just like capitalism gets the bad rep. It's all fucking white supremacy and yada, yada, yada. But choosing people based on their qualifications doesn't mean it has to be a white man that does it. Doesn't mean it has to be a white woman that does it. It can be a black woman. But you're going into it, your criteria for somebody, for an application, for a job, for a position, should not be based on the least interesting thing about them. It should be based on the content of their character. Didn't somebody famous once say that? It should be based on what they can do and what they can bring to the table. It's not racist to say that making a diversity pick is a bad idea and it's a dumb idea. It's actually much more racist to say that I'm going to choose somebody based on their race and I'm going to disqualify someone else because of their race. That's actually more racist. This is why I'm not in favor of affirmative action. And hopefully the Supreme Court weighs in on that the way that I would weigh in on that and say affirmative action is racist bullshit. And in closing here, I just want to add, because I know people will call me racist for this, if you get called racist on the internet, you're in good company, because anybody who makes any point outside of establishment narrative gets called a fucking racist. So yeah, I've been called white nationalist, I've been called Nazi, I've been called all that shit. It's fucking retarded. But there are some of these moves by the woke left that I want to say that I am actually on board with. I've said it before, I'd love the idea of putting Harriet Tubman on the 20, for instance. I mean, for one, Andrew Jackson abolished the central bank of his time, and he wouldn't want to be on shitty fiat currency anyways. But two, Harriet Tubman is not a good pick because she's a black woman. Harriet Tubman did something and earned her reputation. She led literal slaves to freedom. Now, that's some of the most American shit that I can think of, and that deserves to be enshrined on the fucking currency if anything else does, right? So we got to get this nonsense out of our head that if somebody opposes us, it must be because they have some sort of racial bias. It must be because they don't want to see a black woman in power, or we don't want to see black people progress or anything like that. That's not the issue here. The issue here is that you have the dumbest fucking metrics for doing this instead of just getting somebody that kicks ass. Harriet Tubman kicked ass. Put her on the fucking money. Give me somebody else that kicks ass and you can give them the spot, but don't do it just because they fit a fucking woke quota. That's bullshit. So the popular notion, the establishment mainstream concept of diversity is literally only skin deep. The only diversity that actually matters is ideology. What you think and what you do is more important than how you look. It's pathetic that this has to be explained to people. Those are my thoughts anyways. If you liked the video, feel free to like it, share it, sub the channel, hit the bell, all the stuff that helps the channel grow. Links to where else you can find me and my content are in the description. Until next time, stay safe, live free.